Hi, I'm Simon Jones, and I'm going to be taking a look at the first 5 minutes of Dishonored to see how well it sets up the game and the world that it's set in. As with the other videos I've done in this series, I will start the clock ticking as soon as we have actual interaction in the game, so I don't start timing things until you can actually do something. Opening cutscenes don't count. Okay, so I'm going to start a new game, and I'll start it off on normal, and we shall see what Dishonored does to suck you into its world. Here we go.
Corvo, if only there was someone else I trusted to send, so that you could remain near. But there is no one else, and the Spy Master was right to insist that I send you. The plague has taken so many, and we must find a cure. When you are near, my heart is at peace. Emily and I will count the days until you return. Hurry home and bring good news.
Steady hand. That's it. Watch it. Cast offline. Casting off. We're away. Take us straight to Gunwall Tower. Lord Corvo has news for the Empress.
So after that brief monologue, we're actually thrown straight into a sequence where we can start looking around. Now, this is only partially interactive, we can't move around yet. We're stuck on our seat in this boat, but we can look around and start soaking up the world. So over there there's a ship with a whale on it.
Maybe. We live in strange times.
And over here we have a giant castle and some strangely modern concrete structure to the right. Immediately the game makes a very, very strong visual impact. We can see there's some industrial complex off in the distance. This is a large city, and it's a real mixture of architectures, and it kind of defies the usual genre conventions. In fact, at this point, you're not entirely sure what genre you're in. Is this fantasy? Is it historical? Is it science fiction? It's very unclear, but in a way that immediately captivates your attention. And then we also have the spectacle here of the water coming down and raising the ship up. This feels like something that has been built with a purpose. None of this stuff is impressive to the characters that we're surrounded by. It feels like a very everyday occurrence. This guy is just doing his job, as are everyone else around here. And that lends it a kind of verisimilitude, even though, as viewers, this is all remarkable stuff. Okay, so now we actually have full movement, and we can start interacting with the game properly. Now the game does slowly introduce its mechanics to you, so you can start interacting and talking with people, you can move around, look around, but most of your toolset you don't actually have yet. So this is a game that's heavily about combat and stealth, but currently what we're doing is exploring the world. And we've been told we have to go and see the Empress, so we have our first goal.
Hello, sir.
Corvo, you're back! Will you tell me about your trip, please? Were there any whales? Wait! Let's play hide and seek first. I'll cover my eyes and you hide.
So here we have control taken away from us for this little mini cutscene. But what this does is establishes that we have a previous relationship with this young girl. And there's clearly some affection here. And it immediately makes the point that the character you're playing is not some gruff action hero like you tend to see in computer games. This is a guy who clearly is compassionate and cares about this character. Also, it's quite unusual to see children in games. Quite often developers go out of their way to avoid having kids in games because it opens up all kinds of morally dubious situations, which they just rather avoid.
Let's see if you're still good at this. I'll hide my eyes and count, and at the end of the countdown, I'll try and find you. Okay, I'm going to count to 10. Find a place to hide.
Okay, so here we're introduced to one of the main mechanics in the game, and it pops up this screen to tell us some more about it, which is a bit of a shame because they've gone to all this effort to create like a story-based introduction to stealth, which actually works really well doing this hide and seek with the little girl. But it still pops up those information screens, which feels a little bit like they didn't think that their own story-based tutorial is working. If you compare this to, say, Half-Life 2, whenever that introduces things like the gravity gun, it might give you a tiny on-screen prompt about which button to press, but otherwise it teaches you how to use it through your interaction with the world and the characters. And actually Dishonored is doing that as well, but it kind of worries that it's not going to work and throws up that extra information, which is kind of unnecessary.
Okay, well, somewhere else then.
So depending how you do this, the scene will actually play out slightly differently. If she finds you, the dialogue adjusts responsively.
Okay, you win.
In this case, we've done a pretty good job of hiding.
So Mother can see you too.
This whole section was actually optional. We could choose to not play hide and seek and go straight to see the Empress, so immediately you're getting a way to express yourself through the character. Dishonored is not entirely a role-playing game, but it has elements of playing a role to it, and deciding whether to play with the girl or not is the first choice you get. And now we get introduced to a couple of characters who will become very important and prominent down the line. At this point, we don't know who they are or what's going on. And in fact, we're probably getting information overload by now, because we've had these three characters, plus the guy who brought us in on the boat. We've got this entire new city and this castle that we've arrived at.
A waste of time. My elixir will banish the plague from this city.
And we don't know how any of these people or places react to each other. We don't know the background or the history.
I'm not so sure that painting looks like Campbell.
But it's very deliberate. They're throwing you into this world. It's meant to feel like an unfamiliar place. And the character you're playing has just got back from travelling abroad for many years, so feeling slightly alien to this place actually works nicely in the story too. Okay, so that's actually our 5 minutes up, and I'm going to stop here before we get into the main meat of the story. But what Dishonored has already done is introduced some of the core mechanics, stealth, movement, and it's introduced a surprising number of the main characters, and is about to embark you on the main storyline. But the main thing is that it's made you fully invested and intrigued by the world, and Dishonored, more than anything else, is about the world. The city of Dunwall is probably its best character. Okay, so that's the first 5 minutes of Dishonored. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.